Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon.
Por favor,
Could
vamos un poquito tarde.
we're a bit delayed, so please,
Si vais terminando vuestro
could the
trabajo, por
photographers
favor,
finish
vamos
with their
a
work?
comenzar con la rueda de prensa.
And let's commence the press conference.
Arratsalde on guztioi. En primer lugar,
First of all, apologies
por el retraso.
for the delay.
Y bienvenidos todos a esta
And welcome to
rueda
all
de
of you to this
prensa
press
de la
conference,
película
and the film is
Escobar,
called
Paraíso
Escobar,
Perdido, que se
Paradise
proyecta,
Lost,
como
which is
sabes,
projected
dentro
and
de la
shown
sección
within
Perlas
the
del
Pearl
Festival
section
de
of the
San
San
Sebastián.
Sebastian Film Festival.
Nos acompañan en
We
esta
have with
rueda
us
el
on
director del
the
film,
press conference,
Andrea
director of the
Di
film,
Stefano,
Andrea Di Stefano, the actor,
protagonista,
leading actor Benicio del
que,
Toro,
por supuesto, como
to who,
todos
as
ustedes
all of
saben
you
ya,
know
el
quite
festival
well, the
entregará
festival
esta
is going
noche
to
el premio
give him
Donostia
the
como
Donostia
reconocimiento
Award
a
as
toda
the
su carrera.
recognition for
Nos
his
acompañan
career.
también los actores
We have the actors Josh
Hutcherson,
Hutcherson, Claudia Tracer, and Carlos Bardem, that, as you know, also
en la película.
participate in this film.
Comenzamos ya.
So, fire away.
Hola,
Hi.
buenas tardes.
Good afternoon.
Benicio,
Benicio, first of all, congratulate you for the Donostia Award, and to also ask you, the truth is, your performance in the film is very short, being called Escobar for the name of the film, but you're flying, basically, you're there from the beginning into the end, albeit you're not seeing much. Did you feel like of performing more footage of the role that you portrayed as Pablo Escobar in the film? And Carlos, I told you earlier on that your role is very short but intense because it always appears on the screen. What was it like to work in this mixture of North American and Spanish cinema in order to achieve a wider audience? Thank you very much, and congratulations. No, Carlos, no, you do it, boss. You answer, boss. Well, I would have portrayed a greater role of Escobar if Andrea had written more and Josh would have been ready to work, and Carlos and Claudia. That's my answer to your question. What was it been like to work with them? Well, what's it been like? Well, I've had the great fortune of being to serve in the guerrillas under the orders of Mr. Guevara, and now I'm a Colombian hitman. So it's great to be able to work with the great actors, such as is the case of Josh or the case of Benicio. It's always easy. In the case of Claudia, it's always very easy to work with good actors. Makes you better. So therefore, all you can do is enjoy it. And plus, I found a director like Andrea Di Stefano, despite it being his first feature film, it was quite clear what he wanted to do and what he wanted to tell in the story, and he directed me superbly. Hi, good afternoon. Two questions for Benicio del Toro. The first is, it seems that you're specializing in real-life characters, Basquiat, Che, and now Pablo Escobar. Whether you like that, or do you just take it as another job? And is it an extra responsibility? And secondly, what does it mean to receive the Donostia Award for you? Thank you very much. What's the second question? What does it mean for you to receive the Donostia Award? Well, it's an honor. It's the first time that I'm being given a career award. It's the first time. So it's a great honor for me, and also because, and it comes from the San Sebastian Film Festival. Then I've been coming here for many years. It's one of the festivals that I personally enjoy the most. And the other question was, well, you answered it partially. I've played characters that have lived their real life, but it's another job, end of the day. I don't think it's easier or more difficult to do a fiction character or a real life or non-fiction character. Basically, it's a job, it's my work, but you choose your work with the group of people that are involved in order to make that film. So I look for work in that way. That is to say, a director who has the sensitivity vis-a-vis the project that we're going to shoot, the film, and the actors. Josh, I'd worked with him before, with Carlos as well, so therefore it's much easier to go someplace like that, to go out in space like an astronaut with Claudia. I've also worked with her, but it's enjoyable that way. Okay, next question, please. Okay, good afternoon. Over here on the left. Well, I would like to highlight the acting, all of the actors' work, Carlos and Benicio. Well, as you've got a great trajectory behind you, it's not strange how enormous you are, but above all, Josh. Amazing performance, he's saying in English. It's incredible how you hold your own, and very sensitively, because you make us give us goosebumps. And it's very complicated at times to act. I don't want to spoil it, but when you get called, you imagine acting that there's nobody there, and I think it's sublime, that scene there. And then on the other hand, I would like to highlight especially Claudia, the work that she has carried out, because it seems that it's incredible that it's your first film, basically, at this level, and I think that you're really brutally fantastic. And the question is for you, Claudia, what is it like to come up to a project like this, of this size, the pressure you must have upon you, perhaps? And it seems incredible because you've saved the day very, very well and very delicately, and plus with a very complicated work with your accent and so on and so forth. And that was the question, end of the day. Okay, well, thank you very much, Roman. Well, for me, it was a gift to be able to participate in this film. I had to do 7 auditions or more, I don't remember, and from the outset it was a challenge and something very difficult to do, but I felt like doing it. It was a dream for me. I knew that I wanted to make the film, and it was difficult at times, especially with my English, because I'm not very fluent in English, but nevertheless the truth is Andrea was an incredible director, and he trusted in me from the moment I met him, and that was a true, like a gift in my life, someone that gives me the trust that he gave me. It was a work between all of us, and with Benicio and Josh, it was incredible to work with both of them, and it was a real buddy type job with a lot of magic and a lot of love, and in that sense it was quite easy. Hey, good afternoon. Over here on your left, it's a question for Benicio del Toro. Well, congratulations for the film and for your Donostia Award. And when Michael Douglas received the Donostia Award, he said that it was an award to halfway through his career. It wasn't all his career because it hadn't finished yet. And could you give us an overview of your career and your life? Not to give us a doctoral thesis of it, but what was Benicio del Toro when he was a teenager? What did you imagine that he wanted to be? And you've made it until now. And what's it like to become all of this way? That would be a beautiful headline. Give us a beautiful headline, go on, about what a teenager called Benicio del Toro expected in the filmmaking industry, and a handsome 40-year-old man is going to receive this evening. Thanks for saying that I'm handsome. Okay. It's a bit difficult to say what was I like at 14 years of age. Well, I think that I didn't listen to people too much. No, I was a bit doing my own thing. And what was I when I started as an actor? Well, I never thought that I was going to receive an award such as this. I never, albeit I did dream of it. All actors dream of this in some way or another. But I think that you've got to give a lot of merit to those actors that came before me, to those actors and actresses, of course, who have done work which is difficult to understand, and all of those that are doing it at present. But I think that this is something that has helped me, so to speak, in order to to dream, to be able to dream. The list of actors, many of them, I never ever met them, and I saw them in black and white films, okay? But I think that it's very important in the career of all actors, not only mine, to understand that there are other actors, or in your generation or younger, like Josh, for example, to dare to look in front of a camera and try to tell a story. That's pretty complicated, isn't it? And Andrea, as a director, for example, he facilitated, made it easy to work with him because he's an actor as well. So there's a community, communion here, really, between that's worthwhile to talk about it, and to pay tribute to it and bow to the community of actors. So therefore, that's the way we're going. So therefore, and then we can go to chapter 15 and we can go back to chapter 3 of my life story. Next question, please, at the back of the room. Hi. We're infiltrates the Moncada radio. The question is for Benicio. I read an interview of yours where you said that Hollywood, you can't knock at the door, you've got to knock the door down. Could you explain what is that type of acting performance? How do you act? How do you do that? Well, I think I said that figuratively, I believe, but as a figure of speech. But what I'm trying to say is that it's difficult for any actor or actress, you know. You've got to have a short memory span, I think, because I don't know how to say it. There's a lot of rejection. You get rejected a lot of times, so therefore you've got to forget about that very quickly because you can't drown in all of those rejections you receive. So you've got to, or whatever I don't know. You've got to have a tough skin. A crocodile skin, maybe. But that's what I tried to say with what you said. But now I'm revisiting it because it sounds like something I say, because not everything that appears in the press is written in stone, if you catch what I'm saying. A question for Benicio. What do you know about Pablo Escobar that you didn't know after shooting this film? Well, I know more about him. I know more about him. What can I say? What is it, an exam question? Do we take it? Another 45-minute answer? What do you want? But one of the things is how he sells a lot of hope to a town or to a people. And something that the film deals with as well is that Andrea, as a writer, took as the moment when he becomes a politician, almost, and that's the moment which is quite crucial in his history and his story. You could say it's the key to the whole question. So therefore, I understood that part of Pablo Escobar a little more, or that side of him.
Hello. Question for Mr. Del. Congratulations on the film, and also I wanted to see if you would reflect back on your career as a Lifetime Achievement Award. There's only one thing I've always wanted to ask you. Where did the breakthrough role, which was Usual Suspects, how did you develop that portrayal, that amazing performance as Fenster? Was that coming from you or script, or?
It was both.
Yeah.
It was both. It was both. And again, you know, I got a chance to work with the directors and writers that were willing to explore things. But I've said it before. It was a movie I saw that had come out a little bit earlier called Dick Tracy, and I think Dustin Hoffman plays the character of Mumbles. That started me thinking. It's true. Okay.
Una pregunta para Benicio.
A question for Benicio. Congratulations in general to the whole crew and the whole cast of the film. Benicio, how have you confronted such a complex character with so many black, dark and light spots that if at a given moment you judged the character at all? Well, no, I didn't judge him, but when you're performing, you can't, you're portraying him, because what you do is you perform and you portray everything in the scenes. Andrea had it organized in that way. step by step in different scenes. I forget. What I mean by that is that one studies the character, one does the work of almost of a journalist. You study it as much as possible. The bell rings and you start to shoot the film, and eventually you can't portray what you learned, but you have to portray whatever you have to portray in the scene. So therefore, working with the actors and with Andrea, that's where things come together, and that's what you see on the screen. Hi, Benicio. Claudiana is my name, and I cried this morning. I cried because for us, he's the monster that has caused not only one death, but too many deaths. And he has permeated every part of life, day-to-day life in Colombia. You really, didn't you ever collapse at all when you started with this monster? Didn't you ever really feel the pain of all of those victims that he's left behind in his wake? That on the one hand, and on the other hand, and this is for the director, how was it to seek that fiction script? Because with fiction you can tell so much terror. How long were you seeking for the elements in order to write that script? Because you're the scriptwriter as well, is that right? Well, I'm going to answer you first. Yes, I did feel that pain that went through Colombia, and anyone who reads about Pablo, and he's a human being, and as a human being is going to feel it, and I did feel it. Sometimes it's difficult to understand it, eh? Tardé
1 year and a half of research. I had to read a lot of books, and I'm not a fast reader. And it took 1 year and a half to really read all the books, but then there was some kind of processing of all these elements about his life, and I had to make some choices of which period of his life had to go in the film. I knew, and then there already have been made good documentaries about all his life, biopics and all these things. I knew I wanted to get one story of his life, but that one story somehow had to have the fingerprint of his psychology. And I think that that in the film you see somehow a good spectrum of who this man really was, in the good sides and in the bad sides. And I tell you, with all my heart, it was really, I always felt, and I think Benicio, we always felt, we talked about it too, how do we tell this story and respect the emotions of who's going to go and see the film, because there's a lot of people got hurt by this man. So we tried to be as realistic as possible and show both sides of this, this human being.
Hola. Hola a todos.
Hi, everyone. Congratulations, Benicio, for the award. I would like to know, such a great and a good actor as you, it seems that we demand a lot of intensity from you. Wouldn't you like to free yourself and do a few more comedies like Robert De Niro has done in the last few years? Are you talking about to the director, or are you talking about... That's a good answer, a good question for the director, yes.
And Benicio has, in the scenes of the film, he has an instinct for comedy that is really, truly unique. Because, I mean, this he doesn't even know, but the hair and makeup person used to come to me and says, he's kind of like strange today. He works a lot with his foot. And we didn't understand what was going on. Maybe he's hurt. And he went into the scene, and he did the scene in the bedroom where he started taking off his shoe and stretching his foot. So, I mean, everything, you know, the work of an actor, it's fast. No, but the work of an actor is of you know, of a talented actor is fascinating, because then it comes and it explodes in front of the camera, and in very surprising ways. And I think Benicio's talent for comedy is incredible. It's really unique.
Siguiente pregunta, por favor.
Next question, please. Hi, good afternoon. Congratulations to all of you. I've got a couple of simple questions. The first is about the accessibility of your film. And I ask you, as a rocker, I'm almost blind, and I'm also a director of the first teaser, which is accessible to all types of people. And this happened in the gala of Bar Cinema. So switch the light off and you'll see. Because I've got pigmentary retinosis, which leaves us blind, and I would like to know whether your film is accessible, that is to say, whether we can see the blind, the deaf, people can see or hear your film. After this press conference, we have a minute to help us in this struggle for accessible cinema and for the pigmentary retinosis, so I can get and I can introduce you to my dog. Okay, thank you very much.
My Spanish is not that good. I didn't understand most of it. But I think it should be a question onto these distributors more than us.
I'd love to meet your dog. We can meet your dog.
Okay, siguiente pregunta, por favor.
Next question, please.
First of all, I'd like to thank you all for making a wonderful movie, the whole cast and crew, and congratulations to the Donostia Award, Mr. Del Toro. I have two questions, one for the director, Mr. Di Stefano. In terms of the research that you did on the movie, did you engage in local histories about Pablo Escobar and eyewitness reports? Did you talk to eyewitnesses of the good deeds that Escobar has done, but also like the cruelties and the violence that he has brought over the country? And I have another question for Mr. Del Toro, which aims at the ambiguities of the character of Pablo Escobar and how you experience these ambiguities when you're enacting this character and this historical person. Because if you're making a movie like this, you're always to some part fictionalizing the history. And I would like to know how you all deal with this.
I'll jump. You know, yes, it's everything you do in front of a movie, when it includes actors, directors, and a script, is going to be fiction. You get affected by it because you learn more, but eventually you have to do it. You have to do the story, and you look at the story and the sensitivity which it deals with it, with the way it deals with the violence. It attracted me as a script, and the truth of what was happening in Escobar's life. You know, how he helped some people. To some people, he's still a Robin Hood, and to other people, and to most of the world, he is, you know, a monster, like she said. You know, I think that sometimes in order to see what causes this monster, you have to go into history and study the history of a whole continent, and then see why that happened. Or what caused it, you know. You know, so you go into it and you're affected. You're affected, you know. But you have to, you know, I've been doing it for a while, and it's easier to, you know, just do it kind of like a surgeon, you know, without any personal thing. But obviously we know the truth, you know. I don't become him, you know.
Yeah, I did a lot of research. I mean, but it feels like that it's almost it's kind of difficult to, you know, say this. I did a lot of research. I did a lot of studies about Escobar, a lot of background. I talked to a lot of people that knew him, you know, but it's it was my responsibility to do it to that extent, and I think. But at the end of the day, what this really was a movie, a story. And the research I did is the same research that Benicio did, is the same research that Josh did, or Claudia, or Carlos. And I think when we all did that with a lot of responsibility, and I think that is, if at the end of the day we made a good movie, a good entertaining movie with a moral backspine, is because of that. But this is, it's a movie. It's fictional story inspired by, you know, the first time I got the idea of making it is from true events, but it's really an entertaining movie and should be, you know, it should be regarded that way. But everything that happens in the movie somehow is inspired by who Pablo really was, and we went really, you know, far to portray that in the most accurate way.
Hi, good afternoon. Congratulations to all of you. To Benicio, because the film, I have not seen the film yet, so I want to ask the question to Benicio. Congratulations. Thank you. If I'm not mistaken, when you were a kid, you were in a town called Santurce, if I'm not mistaken. Well, yes, well, there's 100 kilometers, yes. There's a town called Santurce. I don't know whether you know that, which is in front of the town where I live, okay, by the way. But the question is as follows, and it has to do with something else. Conchita took the question away from me, because that's the question I was going to ask. But I'm going to ask you another question, then, that is, which, in your career, of the roles that you've had to portray, which has been perhaps the most difficult or the most complicated that you've had to portray? Well, the film Chair, that was the most difficult and most complicated.
Hola.
Hi, I would like to ask Josh, perhaps, I'm over there. Perhaps you're the Anglo-Saxon perspective that you give, and you look at Pablo Escobar with that slant. How have you seen your character? What have you learnt about the character of Pablo Escobar? What was it like to get involved and to get to know all of that world? And whether you handled your Spanish speaking very well during the shooting of the film?
Yeah, I learned a little bit of Spanish for the film, but not a whole lot. I've been learning more since. Aprendiendo, muy lento.
Very slow.
But no, I mean, from my perspective of who Pablo was, before meeting Andrea and reading the story, I had, unfortunately, a more positive view of Pablo, because I always saw him as a guy that, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of drug traffickers in the world, but this guy was one that was helping the community, and he was giving back. And so, like, yeah, he was bad, of course, because he's a drug guy, but at the same time, he was helping the community. However, once I started talking with Andrea and learning more about who Pablo really was, I saw the terror and horror that he caused the community as well. And I saw not only what he did to the community, but what he did to his family, and how he would bring people in close and make them feel like that they were part of his family, which happened to my character, and then he'd turn around and deceive them and do horrific things to them. So I definitely saw more of a horrific side to Pablo, and my opinion on how good he was definitely shifted quite a bit.
Ahora, para Benicio, por favor.
For Benicio, your performance shows Escobar, who's very smooth, even though when he's giving orders to kill people, he's very relaxed and calm. I don't know whether he was like that, or whether you could tell us about what he was like. Did he lose the plot at times? I imagine, yeah, definitely he lost the plot. I'm sure he did lose the plot at a given time, I'm sure. Was he a drug trafficker, or was he a bloody drug trafficker? No, no. I don't think he was. No, I don't think he was like, he had a really nice guy. But he was in a magazine like The Joker, and like in a Batman story, for example, or film. He put the government of a country and placed them on their knees, on its knees, and at the end of the day, he must have lost the plot quite a lot of times. But I also know that he gave orders in a very relaxed manner as well. Next question, please. I think the film, we see part of that. I don't know. Both sides of his character. No, I said that in the film I think there are moments where he's very smooth and calm and collected, and then all of a sudden he turns into Godzilla. Hi, a question for Benicio. We've seen you as chair, as Escobar. What character, Latin American or historic character, do you still have to portray? You've got any ideas in mind? Any in mind? I'm always looking for some. Ask him, he's the director. Pope Francis, I think he said. But anyway, that's going to depend upon the script. There are a lot of characters that someone thinks it might be a good idea to play them. The difficult thing is to write the story and to turn it into a film. Hi, good afternoon. Over here, Benicio. My question is for you, and that is, Spanish cinema, how do you see it, and would you like to work more in Spanish cinema? You've shot with Fernando León and Quentin Ramos as well, and I would like to know whether you would like to work more in Spanish cinema, because those characters fit into your character. Yes, yes, of course. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 3 bags full, sir. Yes. I think the cinema is great, but I don't live here. It's a question that for Carlos would be interesting for me to answer. But perhaps we can do that on a personal level later on, after a couple of martinis. Yes, yeah, yes. If we were going to complain about Spanish cinema, let's do it in private. Yes, yes, of course. Why not? Spanish cinema has always been an international type cinema, yes. If the tricky part is always the script, the story that's going to be told, and the whole thing altogether, the whole crew and the cast. Question is for Andrea, the director. The story mixes a character, a biopic like Mr. Escobar, with a story, the love story between Josh and Claudia, which is like a sort of Romeo and Juliet. At least when I left the film, Revenge with Anthony Quinn, we could portray the role of Benicio or The Last Mohican. When you describe the film, when you address the making of the film, did you bear all of that in mind? Because it's very difficult to complicated to conjugate both aspects, and the product, I think, has been very, very entertaining, by the way. Thank you very much.
When you're in front of a white page and you have to start telling a story, I mean, I usually get inspired by the classics, the myth, the Greek tragedies or Greek mythology. I go back really far. I think I'm always fascinated to understand which are the dynamics that have somehow always worked with humankind. And I think if we go back, we can learn from our predecessors many things. So this film is really the arch of Josh. It's like Icaro, somebody that has a dream, that sees the light, the warmth. He's reaching for something beautiful and then gets too close to reaching his dream. You know, I always had this idea of telling the story of a pure soul, someone that thought he was about to reach his dream, and then all of a sudden he, without knowing it, he's entering hell. It was really about that. A movie about fear, about family. And I'm also Italian. I always had an instinct, a fascination for opera. The movie has the story of a Greek tragedy, but has a lot of elements of Italian opera. And the ending, I was thinking about the ending of La Tosca. It's all these things come to my mind. I steal everywhere I can steal from other movies. I think that's what I did.
You stole from other movies.
Siguiente pregunta.
Next question, please.
¿Alguna pregunta?
Any further questions?
Okay. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much to all of you, and this is the end of the press conference. Thank you very much.